Singapore through an Indian company. And all the 8 months I was there, always reading Indian newspapers, thinking what good is happening to India, with the hope that I'll see something, some change, at least in Hyderabad. But I don't see any change except for the bad. I'm totally disappointed. And I'll just explain to you the series of steps, and I'll tell you why I'm explaining these to you. First thing, I got onto the airport, and first thing I see is broken tiles at the entrance.
That may be set right by tomorrow.
That's the easiest part.
The new airport is coming.
That's the easiest part, and Chennai is not getting a new airport anyway. But here starts the real story. I went to take a taxi. The receipt said 295 rupees. He told me, the counter person told me 300 rupees, and I gave it to him. And when I got into the taxi, I saw the receipt, it's 295. Why did he take the 5 rupees extra? Next, I went to the port. I'm looking for a porter at the railway station to take a train.
We get the picture, but
yeah,
we all understand, so the time can be given to other people.
I'll quickly complete. Okay, this porter also took a little extra. Everything's the same. And then in the train, the guy who serves me food, okay, he took 3 rupees extra without my knowledge. He told me 35 rupees is the cost of food. Okay, next thing, again, the auto at home, same thing everywhere. If you see here, I see some greed within us. And people, please don't take me wrong, are people wrong here? Because in Singapore, the same guy, the same cab driver, when I went to the Singapore airport, he had to give me back 40 cents, and he was searching for change all over to give me back the change. He doesn't want it.
Okay, Srinivas, I'll address this question. This is a common enough question in the country, and people talk about values, character. Is that what is wrong? Giri also asked me the question. The reason why I don't talk too much about character is not because it's unimportant, but because we already have it as a people. That's not where our fatal flaw is. It's a common perception of some people to think that somehow Indians are crooked and Singaporeans are good. Not true. Singapore, 30 to 35 years ago, was one of the most corrupt countries, even as it was growing very fast. Then they did one simple thing. They brought in the Independent Anti-Corruption Commission. Because the city-state, one good innovation, well administered, was enough. No, I'm sorry, not Singapore, Hong Kong. 35 years ago, they brought in this Independent Anti-Corruption Commission. And for the last Anti-Corruption Commissioner, he spent with me a whole day here in Hyderabad. So I have some familiarity with what's happened. And suddenly, almost overnight, within a few years, Hong Kong became one of the most honest countries. They built institutions to reward honesty and to punish bad behavior. It's not because they were more honest today. It's not because Indians are less honest. In fact, if anything, given the conditions around, Indians are incredibly honest. British judges conducted an experiment some months ago. Some of you might have followed that. They left mobile telephones in many countries, all over the world, in marketplaces, shop floors, in public places and parks and everything. And they also tried to monitor what happened to these phones. Whether the finder tried to actually return it to the owner. In India, 85% people made genuine efforts to return them. It's a real-life experiment. Let's go by evidence. It's not that the people of India are dishonest. It's that the institutions make you dishonest. And if you're not dishonest, if you actually go by the rules of the game, you tend to lose. If you try and buy a flat in Hyderabad city, if you don't have black money, you probably cannot buy it. To take a simple instance. Or if you rent it out, in many cases they say, 10,000 rupees give me by check, but the rest of it has to be black money. So, you have a whole vicious cycle operating. Everybody has alibis. We must change that. And the second thing is, when it comes to petty corruption of a taxi driver or somebody else, we require actually to build an economy where the wage structure is much better. We have some people getting decent wages. We have a large number of people who, they have minuscule incomes. I don't know how a chauffeur actually survives in this city. 3,000 rupees, 3,500 rupees. A teacher in a school, 3,000 rupees, 2,000 rupees, 1,500 rupees. It makes no sense. A supposed lecturer in a college, 3,000 rupees. What the heck is happening to this country? We have a completely skewed structure where low productivity, low wages, a low level of morale, and low level of morality. They all coexist. So we have to address both these. It's not because of Indian people's perfidy or lack of values. Never yield to cynicism and despair, and never let anybody tell you that Indians are particularly bad. I'm not saying we're all noble. I'm not a romantic in that sense. But we are just the same as anybody else. We have our tremendous strengths, we have some weaknesses. Like every society has. Show me a society without weaknesses, without flaws. That's not where the problem is. The problem is institution building in public domain and leadership. It's not because we are bad people. And the way some sectors have dramatically changed is an illustration of that. 12 years ago, to get a telephone was a Herculean task, and you had to bribe every hour. Today, see what's happening. Just competition, choice, and technology transformed it. It's not that the BSNL has become a bunch of Mahatmas. No. It's the same people. But the ground rules changed.
Okay, good evening, Doctor. I'm Harsh Vardhan. Like I told you before, I'm an MBA student aspirant, and I'm working on a couple of social projects with deaf and dumb children, blind children, and some other institutions as well. I'm basically, knowing how can we involve as citizens as well as members of Lok Satta. How can we involve ourselves in the day-to-day improvement of politics in the country? And also, what opportunities do we have as part-time members and full-time members of the institution? I understand this will probably be a little more detailed answer, so if you think we need to take this offline, we can do that as well, Doctor.
I will just, in telegraphic language, mention them. For heaven's sake, first be voters. It's not a casual comment. Because far too many of the decent Indians are neither voters nor do they choose to vote. And believe me, the power of the vote and that these numbers, they are increasing. The people who understand a bit of what's happening, who want that change, this number is no longer insignificant. It is actually a near majority today, if not an actual majority. So first be a voter. Be registered, find out what's happening, and vote. The second is be volunteers. Whatever time you have, however much time you can give. Everybody can't give a lot of time. And eventually, as there's deeper involvement and when circumstances permit or when the political work is more exciting, maybe it will become even full-time, but not for everybody. I mean, Texas state legislators, and Texas economy is as large as India's in dollar terms at the current exchange value. Texas state legislators, they meet once in 2 years. And if your neighbor is a legislator, you wouldn't know that he's a legislator. Texas is surviving and thriving. So why do you require a full-time legislator anyway? And yet you cannot think of a full-time, anybody but a full-time legislator and a full-time MPTC member, whatever that means. A fellow with no authority whatsoever who still spends 20, 30 lakhs to get elected. I don't know for what reason. That's the craziness of Indian politics. So you don't require to be full-time except, if you're a prime minister, by all means. I mean, we do expect you to be full-time as a prime minister. Or in weighty offices. But in most cases, you can easily combine your personal goals with these goals. Then be political actors. Be willing to actually play a direct role, including contesting where it's feasible. But with eyes open, don't be too romantic about it. Politics is serious business. Getting elected is serious business. And making people trust you and respect you and want to vote for you is serious business. I mean, you put yourself in the voter's shoes. You don't easily put your trust in somebody, right? You do it after due diligence. So each of us must measure whether we have those qualities and have we earned that trust. Then become political actors directly. Contributors. The easiest thing you can do is start contributing. 100 rupees a month, 1,000 rupees a month, whatever you can. Those who can write bigger checks, please write. But hold the party to account. Where is the money going? How is it being spent? Is there a better way of spending? Because any large organization, there's going to be some bureaucracy, there's going to be some wastage. So how do you minimize that and how do you maximize the outcomes? Not merely that it's honestly spent, that will be guaranteed. But not honestly spent doesn't mean that it's wisely spent. So what's the best way of utilizing the resources? Contributors. Create a buzz. You are in the internet community. Create a buzz. I mean, there's too much cynicism. People describe problems too much. That's why I'm somewhat impatient when people talk about the problems and the symptoms all the time. No. Look at the solutions. and make more and more people aware of solutions. If Lok Satta has any value in the country, and I can say this with complete confidence, it's the only major organization of consequence that actually looks at solutions to most of these problems. Well considered, well thought out, well researched, practical, realistic, affordable, achievable solutions. No solution is final. No solution is perfect. That is the nature of human condition. We can keep on improving. But search for solutions and an understanding that there are solutions. Otherwise, we'll only spread despair from a reservation problem to traffic mess. Everything is merely a symptom. So there is a lot we can do. There's a menu. The easiest thing we can do is be a volunteer, write a check.